Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Boom, and welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by the Looking Glass Duck Club Podcast. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world-famous Andy Shaver.
While you go to our Patreon to sign up for everything we got going on, go over to their Patreon and
Sign up for them.
Looking Glass Podcast on Patreon. Easy to find.
With us today from Charleston, South Carolina, an adventurer, a man who works in the Antarctic, Mr. John Rushton. John, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, I was doing good. How are you?
Good. I am so interested in this because I've never spoke to anyone that's been to Antarctica before, ever. Have you, Andy?
If they did, they held that from me.
Yeah, they kept that back from you. You say you work there seasonally. What is the off season for Antarctica?
So off season for Antarctica, I'm back in the States. So I got back last May and spent quite a few months just fly fishing up in the mountains in Virginia. I'm a big fisherman. I like to travel all over. Really got into fly fishing in the off season this last go round, and that's been my big thing, which is why I moved to Charleston so I could fish for redfish down here. So in my off season, I try and do as much adventuring as I can, mainly fishing, some hiking, camping, stuff like that.
So how old are you?
29.
I saw that beer go up. I'm about to go get me one. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Well, Andy goes and gets a beer. I'm going to ask you a question. The Antarctic, I think of as a frozen wasteland. Is that pretty close?
Frozen wasteland. It's a pretty diverse place. A lot more diverse than people think. There's a lot going on there. I guess compared to the U.S., it is pretty much a wasteland. But that's a beautiful place, and there's a lot more wildlife there than I thought. I mean, there's glaciers and stuff's moving around. There's a lot, and whenever you get there and start listening to the scientists talk about all the research they're doing, which that's what it is. It's a science research station, and they have some interesting things going on. I mean, they're really down there putting in the hard work and trying to figure out answers to all of this stuff that I have no clue about. I mean, that's way above my pay grade.
What are they trying to find down there?
So it's, a lot of it is just climate research. I would say that's probably their biggest thing is, a large majority of the Earth's water is, trapped in the polar caps. And so, it regulates the temperature of the Earth. There's tons of wildlife there. There's glaciers that are constantly moving. There's different things happening, and they're researching all of it. They're researching the penguins that are traveling and their big colonies. The mating that happens in the wintertime there with the emperor penguins. That's a big thing that is quite interesting. Orcas, the orca whales, minke whales, seals, the dry valleys. That's another really cool place that a lot of people don't know about down in Antarctica. And in fact, it's the driest place on Earth. And NASA, when they were building the Mars rover years ago, they actually brought the Mars rover down to Antarctica and took it out to the dry valleys to do all the test runs for it, because that's the place on Earth, the one place that mostly mimics Mars. So there's a lot going on down there, and it's a really cool place.
So yeah, I'm looking at pictures of the dry valleys, and it's not like I figured all of Antarctica was just a sheet of ice. That there's no ice hardly at all on the dry valleys.
Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure what that. I think there's something to do with the positioning of those dry valleys, that there's a wind gust that just channels straight through those valleys and doesn't allow snow drifts and ice to form up there. I mean, it's just bare ground the whole way through, and you would think in Antarctica it'd be frozen or snow drifts would make their way in, but they don't.
That's crazy.
What kind of wildlife do they have outside of penguins and fish Do they have any? There's no bears there or anything?
Seals?
So polar bears are in the Arctic, which is up
Right.
north, and then penguins are the big ones that are down on the Antarctic, which is in the south. So the penguins are probably the star of the show, I would say, down there when it comes to wildlife, and they come through. When you're getting close to the Antarctic summer coming to an end and you're entering into windfall or the Antarctic winter, the emperor penguins will start making their way inland. And so they have this big trek that they do every winter to go to their breeding grounds. And some of those penguins travel up to 100 miles inland just to breed. It's the craziest phenomenon that I've ever heard of in my life. And these penguins come in the millions and go to these colonies miles and miles inland to do their breeding.
Now, will those penguins do like the pebble or whatever, where they have to present the pebble to the one that they're trying to get, and then that's the rejection? Are those the same penguins?
Oh, that's a good question. And honestly, I'm not too sure about that. I would imagine so. Across the board, I bet there's probably some kind of presentation that the males have to do for their relationship rituals. But the Adelie penguins, I believe, are the ones that are known for that specifically. Yeah, grabbing the rocks and presenting the rocks in a certain way, or building up a little rock hill. I think I've seen the scientists talk about that a few times. Yeah, they're quite interested, and they'll come through. So when I was in Antarctica, I was there as a welder. That's what I do. I'm a pipe welder, and so I was doing station maintenance. It's a pretty big station. The biggest station on the continent is the U.S. station I was working at. And so I'm welding. I remember one day I'm welding in my shop, and I look out the window because I would leave my bay door open in the summertime. It wasn't too cold. And I just looked out the bay door, and there's a penguin walking by the shop door just looking in to see what I was doing. And, they're really interesting little guys. And like I say, they're definitely the star of the show when it comes to wildlife. And they love humans. They're just, just as interested in us as we are of them.
What's the temperature? You said you opened the door, it wasn't really cold. What is a warm day in Antarctica?
Yeah, so in the middle of summer, that's when I was there. Well, I actually did summer and winter, but in the middle of summer, a warm day is mid-20s. That's a pretty hot day in Antarctica. You might get a day where you hit 30 degrees. That's blazing. And if you do that, it's so dry there, no humidity at all. You're wearing shorts and no problem. In 30-degree weather in Antarctica, you can be outside in shorts, and it's not that bad.
Nope. Yeah, because here during wintertime, like if it gets to 60 degrees for a high, 50, 60 degrees, you're like, man, this feels nice. But if that happens in September, You're like, what the fuck? I need a hoodie. I got to bundle up. But when it happens in February, you're like, hell yeah, let's go outside and play.
What? You said you spent winter time there. What's the coldest you've ever seen it?
Oh, coldest ever experienced? I'd say probably close to 60 below. 60 below.
Bitch, chilly. What do you do on that day? Anything, or you just hunker down?
Days, it depends on the wind, because wind is the biggest factor in Antarctica. That changes everything. It can be 0 degrees out with a lot of wind, and that's a more dangerous situation than 30 below with no wind. And so, if it's 50 below, 60 below with no wind, it's still really cold, but you can move around a little bit, go from building to building. It's not too bad. Now, if it's windy out and it starts blowing up the snow drifts, especially in wintertime, which that's when you get most of those cold storms like that, if it gets too bad, they will lock you down and you're not allowed to leave your building, because it's just white out. You can't see 20 feet in front of you. People can get lost easy and just lose where they're at, try to walk from one building to the next, and next thing you know, you're lost in Antarctica and you freeze to death.
Oof, that is not a good situation. What do they do with like human excrements there? Is there plumbing? Too cold for plumbing, right?
They've got everything you could imagine there as far as the facilities go. There is actually a wastewater treatment plant, a sewage plant. They handle all that just like any regular city would handle it.
What?
Wasn't too bad.
So the United States has got a exploratory laboratory there, I guess, whatever you want to call it. I'm assuming Russia has one. China has one. How many countries down there have it? And I thought that there was some kind of treaty we signed where nobody would inhabit Antarctica.
Yeah, so there is a thing called the Antarctic Treaty. Now, as far as how many countries have stations there, that's something we should look up because I'm not too sure myself. Now, it's quite a bit. I've seen maps before of all the stations on the entire continent, and I mean there's quite a few, well over 100, I'm sure.
This says 30.
30 different countries.
Yeah, that's just. Hold on, I'll find a better number. I can get all of them, maybe.
Probably probably accurate as far as the number of countries. Now, each country may have multiple stations around the continent because America has three different stations. One in the peninsula, one at McMurdo, and then one at the South Pole.
I'm gonna try to find exactly what countries there are. So what are they doing? I mean, they're all research facilities?
Yeah, I think that's about the only way you can just go to Antarctica and build a base is to, do it for scientific purposes. And that's part of the Antarctic Treaty. Now, I'm no expert and I can't speak too much on what the Antarctic Treaty really says, but from what I understand, science is the only reason you can temporarily inhabit that continent, which is what those research bases do.
See, that's fascinating to me because you got the conspiracy theories, and I think it's all because of the Antarctic Treaty. Everybody's like, well, what don't they want us to see in Antarctica, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, the old joke. There's aliens and all kind of stuff down there. I mean, I saw a very small portion of it, so I can't speak to anything like that. But I didn't see any aliens, although I was, I kept my eyes open, but nothing crazy. And I was there during the winter where it was dark 24 around the clock, and I did not get visited by any aliens. That would have been cool.
Because it is just weird that the whole world, everybody, all the superpowers got together and were like, nobody can go here.
Yeah.
Nobody can go here without having a good reason. They never said that about Germany or France or America. I wish they'd say that about America. Keep some of the shit out of here. Don't come here.
What is the okay, I read an article on this and was talking about it is part of this conspiracy theory shit. It says there's a difference between the blue ice and the white ice. Have you ever seen the blue ice that they talk about?
Oh, that's a good question. Now, there was a lot of blue ice that I would see, and someone explained to me what the difference was. I can't recall that at the moment, but I did see blue ice while I was down there. Most of it's white ice,
right.
And so where that station.
They say the blue ice. Now, this is for the flat Earth group. Said the blue ice is the wall that's around the whole flat Earth. Is this blue ice, and it's impenetrable.
Blue ice is impenetrable.
Blue ice is impenetrable, and we cannot drill through it. Where that white ice, and they said when the news cameras and stuff go there, this is supposedly from a guy that done something like you that worked there. When the news cameras and stuff or National Geographic would come there, they would work on the white ice. But when all the camera crews were gone, they were trying to work on the blue ice.
Trying to penetrate it?
Trying to figure out what the hell it is. But you have seen the difference between you have seen blue ice and the white ice.
Yeah, nothing like a big differentiation. We'd just be walking around and on the station, and you'd see like pockets of blue ice and someone was explaining to me how they formed. They weren't that big. It wasn't many of them, yeah, I can't remember exactly why, but Yeah, I never saw anybody doing research on them or anything like that. I mean, it's I felt like I feel pretty confident in that the research there seemed pretty straightforward, and no blue ice research was going on, at least that I noticed.
I can't figure out what the big. I'm kind of like Andy on the hush hush secrecy and why they don't want anybody down there. I don't understand what Antarctica has to offer the world that's so top secret. It's just frozen and rock.
Well, I'm reading here.
Yeah,
So millions of years ago, it was a tropical paradise.
Yeah, so if you're thinking like continent Pangea, then that definitely would have been a different place. And I've heard they've found like fossils on there from trees, and at one point there was, that wasn't just a frozen wasteland as you called it earlier, Jeff. Like it was at one time connected to a lot more, and there is evidence, supporting that it had plant life and probably a diverse animal life as well. And now it's not a place I would see anybody wanting to be. It's pretty brutal, man, when you read back on some of the explorers like Ernest Shackleton, who just really, tried to be some of the first groups of people to make their way across that continent. I mean, they called hell, and it wasn't easy. And I mean, it's not a place that people want to be, but it controls a big part of the Earth's temperature, right? Because if it weren't for the two polar caps, and I think that's one of the big parts they play in our world, is that they regulate the temperature. They're basically the air conditions of our society.
I think there's a lot to be said for that, for sure. There's a story about Admiral Byrd, who he was one of the first explorers of Antarctica. He went down with an airplane. Now this is way out there, but it was an interesting story that I had read or listened to, and I think I listened to this on a podcast. It was talking about Antarctica, and they said that he flew and they found a valley with green trees and they could see animals down below there. Now, supposedly this happened in the 40s or 50s after World War II. And he flew in, and his plane. This is where this is where it really gets off the deep end and shit. His plane was put into a tractor beam where it sucked his plane in, and he landed, and these Aryans came out, Aryan guys, and they told him that to tell people in this world to leave the nuclear weapons alone, that they were going to ruin our world. And that the last time that people tried to come up with a weapon of mass destruction, basically, they settled it themselves hundreds and hundreds of years ago, basically alluding to the days of the pyramids eventually. But there's an actual podcast that talks about it. It's a pretty interesting deal till they got to the tractor beam shit. And I was like, well, you're kind of losing me on that shit.
Yeah, some of that can get far out there. But, there's places like the Antarctic Peninsula. I mean, if you look right here on the map behind me, you can see that it comes up and almost touches Chile. So it gets it's the farthest point north in Antarctica, and there's a lot more wildlife there. I don't know for sure if there's any trees and stuff there, but that's probably, if people want to go to Antarctica and see the wildlife and maybe even trees, that'd be where they would want to go.
Is that thunder that I hear? Is it thunder in there? What's that sound?
Well, if it's thunder, I wouldn't know what that is since it doesn't rain here anymore.
Dude, here in Charleston, I swear we get a pop-up thunderstorm six nights out of the
No,
week.
we would take that here in a heartbeat.
I thought I heard something. Might be an air conditioner or something. I'm trying to find exact.
Yeah,
did it just kick on?
Cut on.
It'll kick off. It's not
Yeah.
107 there like it is here. I'm looking up what Admiral Byrd. Evidently, he was detained by the Pentagon and been held for 36 hours, and they want to know what exactly.
And he was a decorated man. I mean, he was an admiral in the Navy.
Really?
So, I mean, it wasn't like he was just some kook off the street.
Right.
But I listened to actually his voice audio of him giving a deposition of what he saw, and it was.
This says March 11, 1947. I just attended a staff meeting at the Pentagon. I have stated fully my discovery and the message from the master. All is duly recorded. The president has been advised. I am now detained for several hours. 6 hours, 39 minutes to be exact. I am interviewed intently by top security forces and a medical team It was an ordeal. I am placed under strict control via the national security provisions of this United States of America. I am ordered to remain silent in regard to all that I have learned on behalf of humanity. Incredible. I am reminded that I am a military man and I must obey orders. So that was in his diary.
Wow.
I listened to this script from him, and it was interesting. So it was on a podcast, but I listened to the whole thing he talked about, and it, like I said, he had me, boy, I was pins and needles listening to shit, and so he talked about his plane being taken over and the radio and the controllers by this tractor beam.
But why? Why did that part get you?
It's
little green men running around Antarctica with green shrubbery and all that stuff.
No green men.
You're good with that, but it's like, oh, tractor beam, I'm out.
It just kind of got me right there. We still don't have the technology to do that today.
We don't.
I understand.
We don't.
I know. It was an interesting podcast, but that was kind of
it's
kind of like watching it's kind of like watching Outlander. Outlander's great until you find out they went back in time, and then that ruins it for me right there. The going back in time part does. Just not something I'm interested. So you're a welder in Antarctica. You go over there for 6 to 9 months at a time. What's the nightlife in Antarctica? I'm assuming there's not a lot of bar hopping going on there.
Well, there's 2 bars on station there at the station I was at, and they're pretty busy come nighttime. I mean, there's not a whole lot to do, and so people love to go to the bars, hang out, we'll play darts, shoot pool, play games. I mean, there's different things going on, and a lot of people love to go drink and dance and do karaoke. About every Wednesday night, I believe, was trivia night, and then there's karaoke night a few nights a week. They try to keep something going for morale because you're kind of shut off from the world. I mean, you can talk to your family, but it's not that often. You don't have your cell phones. You don't have really good internet access, so you're limited on what you can do outside of that continent. And so you're dependent on everyone around you. And the station does a really good job keeping people, entertained. I mean, I watched the carpenters build a bowling alley outside so that people could go bowling after they got off of work. And I mean, they do some good stuff out there. They've got a full band room. Any instrument you could want, it's in there. You can go play it. And so bands they'd play at the bars 3-4 nights a week, just playing for everybody to come listen to. And then, they'll throw their Christmas parties, Thanksgiving parties. They cook the station will cook a big dinner for everyone. And it can be a fun time. I mean, it gives you a sense of community there, a sense that I felt was lacking in my life before, because there's no technology there. And so you're very dependent on each other, and you can't just sit around scrolling on Facebook or Instagram Reels, and so it was really cool that if you wanted to do something, you had to go hang out with someone. You couldn't just be entertained by technology.
Is it depressing whenever you get back here and then falling back into the modern ways of, well, I don't have to go out to the bar. I can just interact on this weird device that is a Black Mirror?
Dude, absolutely. I mean, I got back and I remember thinking, people just don't spend that much time with each other anymore. I go to a restaurant and I see people on their phones, and then it didn't take me long before I was kind of falling right back into that same vortex of just getting sucked in. I mean, I think for me, it really opened my eyes to how powerful those algorithms are. And, I mean, dude, they have got that shit to a science. You don't stand a chance on a phone anymore. I mean, they will figure out your weakness and suck you right in. It's unreal. And I think being separated from technology for, almost a full year, and then coming back into having a cell phone again, I was like, oh my God, how, people don't stand a chance. You're just helpless,
Yeah, because it's been a gradual rollout with the cell phones. Like, it's one thing, it's like one little tiny step after the next. But when you're gone for a year, you see just how absurd the cell phone addiction is, right? Because you're there, you turn off that part of your brain, then you come back and you're like, holy shit, This is what they did to us.
Dude, it's bad. It's bad. And that's one of the, like, I can't wait to go back so I can get rid of my cell phone again. And as much as I say that, I can't live without it here in the States. That's the crazy part, is like, I just can't figure out. I said for a while when I got back from Antarctica last time, I said, I'm going to go back to a flip phone. I don't need a smartphone. I'm going to something that only allows me to call and text. I don't need to be, and I couldn't, I can't get myself to do it because I just use it for every single aspect of my life. I mean, a cell phone has become so important, but so detrimental to our attention span and what we do in life.
It's awful.
You said you work for the station or the station. Who is the station? Is it the U.S. government? Is it Halliburton? Is it a private company? I mean, who is the station?
Yeah, so it's private. It's the National Science Foundation is the main contractor that has that, the main agency, let's say. And so the NSF, they have it. And then there's subcontractors that do other parts of the work. So for maintenance, which is what I was part of, keeping the station up and running, there's a company called, it was PAE, Pacific Architects and Engineers, that had it. And then they got bought out, I believe, by Amentum. And so now the company's called Amentum. It's all under the National Science Foundation, though. Just different companies run, they're subbed out,
So if a crime were to be committed in Antarctica, how would that be dealt with?
Yeah, that's something we talk about on station a lot, actually, because apparently, there's rumors, and we don't know for sure, but there's rumors that there is a place set up there as a temporary jail cell, and I've heard that it's a room that they've just got that only locks, you can lock it from the outside and can't open it if you need to detain someone. The station manager, to be a manager over the station, you also have to be a U.S. Marshal. And so they have authority to arrest someone if necessary. And so that's a requirement, I believe, for that station, is to have at least person there who can, uphold law. And so never saw anything like that happen that, where that needed to be something that they did. But yeah, it's talked about a lot, and hopefully it never happens, because man, if you get arrested there, you're fucked, man. You're there until another plane can come get you out, and that's going to be a boring time sitting there in a room until a plane can come.
How often do planes come? Like if somebody got arrested for getting drunk and fighting at a bar.
Let's just say somebody has an appendicitis.
Well, when do the planes come?
So yeah, summertime planes are coming in pretty often, so that's not terrible. If you get arrested in the summertime, you're probably going to be out there within a few weeks.
A few weeks.
Wintertime, a few weeks. Yeah, so wintertime, that's a much different story, man. So I ended up having to get I was in the middle of my winter contract, and I found out that I had a condition in my heart called Wolff-Parkinson's White syndrome. And it started acting crazy, and so I had to get a medevac off the ice back to the States to get a heart surgery. Well, here I am having heart problems in the middle of winter in Antarctica, and it took the U.S. Air Force, which is that's who does the taxiing from the ice back to New Zealand. And it took the U.S. Air Force 40-something days to get down there to get me off the ice. And that's just because wintertime is, you never know what the weather's going to be like. I mean, you're landing in complete darkness with just night vision goggles, breather lasers. I mean, it's not easy to do. It's pretty dangerous. And so in the wintertime, you never know when you could get off the ice. Summertime, every few weeks, there's a plane coming in. They don't schedule any flights for winter. So I think around March is the last flight usually for wintertime. and then you don't have another flight until around September.
True.
So maybe August. So there's a 6-month span there where there's not a single flight coming in. Unless, of course, they need, like in my case, I needed a medevac off the ice. And so the Air Force tried to do what they could, and they just kept running into weather. This was also around the time everything was popping off with Russia and Ukraine. So C-17s were being funneled back and forth, and the U.S. Air Force kept telling us that they, like, hey, our planes got called to go to Ukraine, stuff like that.
So what was going on with your heart? What is this condition that you had?
Oh, so it's called Wolff Parkinson's White, and it's an electrical problem in the heart. Basically, it's where you have an extra electrical pathway or node in the heart, and it's not a big deal if you find out about it and get it taken care of. And so it would just cause my heart to get off rhythm. I mean, I felt like I was having a heart attack one night. I wasn't sure what was going on. My heart was just going wild, and I passed. You pass out, and so. They brought me back to the States. I ended up having to get a heart ablation where they just went up through my main vein and just cauterized that extra electrical pathway, and that shuts it off. And so then I guess the electricity just flows how it was supposed to in the first place.
Yeah, a buddy of mine has some. I don't know if he's got this, but he does have an electrical issue with his heart. Had an electrical issue with his heart. How many times they have to shock him in one day? 6 or 7 times?
Yes, it's bad.
But I mean,
Hell.
and awake for it all and just, but same type thing. Like he'd just be sitting there. He'd just be sitting and his heart would just start racing. And, it's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why am I doing this? And then it took him a while to figure it out. He had multiple heart ablations, I think. I know he had one. I know he had definitely one, but I want to say he had like 2 or 3 before they finally figured out which one was what. Because I think the way he described it is they basically kind of test each little thing to see if that might be the culprit.
Mm-hmm. It does sound very similar, but it sounds like he had it pretty bad.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, he'd just be chilling, and then it just freaking race, and then they'd go up to the hospital, and then bring out the paddles.
Well, I never got introduced to the paddles. Luckily, that would have been terrible. Yeah, they got me straightened out, and I'm good.
Well,
now,
and it's good that that you didn't have an episode down there any worse than like what you already were going through. I mean, that's got to be scary in itself.
I couldn't imagine if someone had a really life-threatening problem. I mean, it was a heart problem, but it wasn't immediately life-threatening to me. But if someone did, I mean, could you imagine, like you're dying in Antarctica and it takes the Air Force 40-something days to get down there to get you? I mean, the medical facility there is not that big, and there's only 2 people there. I mean, it was just, it's not like they can do a whole lot. I mean, I guess if it were life-threatening, like immediately dangerous, they probably would have tried something just as an emergency. But
what?
Yeah, that's not the place you want to be going under.
I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure that one of the doctors at one of these stations in Antarctic, the Arctic, somewhere, Greenland or somewhere, they got weathered in, and he had to take his own appendix out with a mirror.
So yeah, I've heard about this before, and yeah, I believe there's a lot of truth to that. I can't remember who that was, but I do believe that's the case, man. And I mean, it's especially some of these stations like the South Pole Station, and that's another U.S. base it's sitting right beside the actual South Pole that comes out of the ground. And dude, if you get stuck there over the winter, there is no rescue. I mean, you're just, because getting to McMurdo is pretty difficult to do in wintertime, but getting to the South Pole in winter, that's something that chances are it's not going to happen.
So how far away were you away from the geological South Pole?
Whew. It was over 1,000 miles, I'm wanting to say.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge continent, man. People don't realize how big Antarctica really is, but I'm wanting to say it's 1.5 times bigger than the U.S.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of space down there, and so yeah, I was McMurdo Station is quite a ways from the South Pole Station, but they do this trip every year, and it's called SPOT, and that stands for South Pole Operational Traverse. And so they'll get a crew of heavy equipment operators, and it's these tractors, man. These tractors have tracks on them they're massive. And I mean, just to stand back and look at them, it'll take your breath away. Well, they'll get these tractors probably anywhere from 10 to 20, and they'll hook up fuel bladders, shipping containers, all kinds of supplies will be in these, and they will take them from McMurdo Station to the South Pole, going across the continent on tractors. And they haul behind them a trailer to live in. So at the end of every day, it takes like 30 days to get there one way. And so they just drive all day on these tractors across Antarctica. At the end of the day, they just cut them off, set up the trailer, and go in there, cook dinner, and fall asleep, and then do it again. And it's like a month and a half, 2 month round trip there and back. And these operators that do this, they are badass, man. It's a really cool thing to see when those tractors take off.
And then are they just they're taking them supplies, or what are they taking them?
They're taking to supplies. And I think the biggest thing is taking fuel for that station to run on.
Right.
And like doing a trash pickup. So they'll take empty containers with them, I believe, or either containers with tons of supplies, and then they'll empty them out when they get there. But the South Pole Station has to keep all its trash, and that accumulates pretty quickly. And they'll have cargo containers full of trash, and so that SPOT crew carries all that back too, so it can all make it back to the U.S. To make it to the landfills and whatnot. But it's cool.
Just burn the shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's been talked about before, but with the Antarctic Treaty, they're so strict about what you can and can't do to that continent. I mean, the way the scientists talk, I mean, that place is fragile, and it wouldn't seem like it because it's just this frozen, harsh continent. But when you hear the scientists talk about how easily that ecosystem can be disrupted, I mean, it makes you scared to touch anything there, and that all it in a sense makes you wonder if that's not why they created that Antarctic Treaty. But it's definitely a fragile place. I mean, they're scared. You can't even be within 25 feet of any animal, and if it starts approaching you, you've got to like back up, or if it's approaching you too quickly, you have to just stand there and let the animal do its thing. I mean, it's wild, the rules that you have to follow according to the Antarctic Treaty.
Well, the Antarctic Treaty, if they burned the trash there, would spend a lot less money in carbon emissions getting the trash back to somewhere else to get rid of it. I mean,
yeah, probably.
Just some common sense there would go a long way. What
you think there's more carbon in the tractors going across Antarctica than there is in the trash that they'd burn?
Yeah. Don't you?
I don't know.
I mean, I just read where Joe Biden's in Lake Tahoe and they're staying at an $18 million house that's owned by environmental activists. What kind of environmental activist owns an $18 million house on Lake Tahoe?
Maybe it runs off of solar and
fresh
water.
We all know better than that bullshit.
It's all bamboo.
Yep. We all know better than that shit. So
rules for thee, but not for me.
Yep. How do you get to Antarctica? Like, you want to buy an airplane ticket. How do you go? Do you fly to Terra del Fuego? Do you fly to New Zealand? What do you do?
Yeah, so you go to New Zealand, and they'll get you there usually through. When I went last time, I flew from Atlanta to San Francisco to Hawaii, Hawaii to New Zealand, and then New Zealand down to the ice. And so you'll fly commercially from the States to New Zealand, however you can get there. Then when you're in New Zealand, that's when you link up with the Air Force, and they fly you the rest of the way, because the C-17s, they're landing on ice down there. I mean, it's not, there's no paved runway. I mean, it's just compacted snow and ice. That's the runway. and it's badass to watch those guys compact that stuff and get the runway ready for the C-17s to land. But yeah, you go through New Zealand, man.
And how long is the flight from New Zealand to the ice?
So if you're in a C-17, you're looking at 5 to 6 hours. If you're in a C-130, you're looking at around 8 hours.
Whew. That's not a comfortable ride either.
Yeah, the C-17s, I love riding in them. I never get tired of it. Every time I see one, and I'm, living here in Charleston, I see them every day fly over because there's the big Air Force base here. But still to this day, every time I see one fly over, I feel like a little kid, just amazed at how beautiful that plane can be like that, and so I love the C-17s. The C-130s, I've yet to fly down in one, and I hope I never do. That's one plane that I just never want to ride in.
So what do you pack? Like whenever they're like, all right, you're gonna be in Antarctica for X amount of months. Like, do they give you the cold weather gear when you get there? Because I mean, that's a lot of carry-on shit.
So they'll they issue you all your ECWs, and that just stands for extreme cold weather gear. And so you'll get a full parka, you'll get thermals, overalls, a couple different pair of gloves, face coverings, head coverings. I mean, the whole 9 yards. They give you a 20-pound bag, and it probably really isn't 20 pounds, but they give you a hefty bag full of just your extreme cold weather gear. And I was there in the summertime. You really didn't touch it too much. I mean, I might wear my parka around, but that was about it. I'd just wear like a pair of overalls, Carhartt overalls that were had a fleece liner on the inside, and my parka over the top of that. And that was all. Summertime's not bad. Wintertime, you're dressing up. You're throwing on a couple layers, and you're putting on your ski mask before you go outside.
Yeah. Because I got to imagine if you had all that other shit, you'd be walking through the airport and people are like, where the fuck is this guy going? Look at all this shit. Because, I mean, either way, you're going to go from summer to winter, just by crossing the equator like that. So, I'm sure people here in the States like, where the fuck is this guy planning on going? It's Atlanta. It's 95 degrees outside.
Why is he walking through the Atlanta airport in July with parkas?
Right. Yeah, like, where the hell is this guy think he's going? Did I not get a memo?
Yeah.
Now, you said you love to trout fish or you love to fly fish. I'm assuming there's some good fishing in Antarctica.
No, dude. So, man, if you try and catch a fish in Antarctica, I mean, you're looking at there's no telling how much money you'd get fined for doing that. Antarctic Treaty, man, you can't touch any wildlife. You can't interact with wildlife in any kind of way. There are fish down there. And so one of the big things when it comes to the science research, there's divers who go down on the ocean under the sea ice all the time. McMurdo Station is right up against the ocean. Now, in wintertime, it's all froze over, and the divers in early summer, before all the sea ice melts out, they'll drill holes and they'll go down under the sea ice and dive the ocean, just researching like the plankton, the sea spiders, the seals, the fish that are down there. And so they set up an aquarium in one of the science buildings. They'll catch some of these animals and just set them up for research inside the aquariums, and they'll let the people on station come take a look at it. And so I did get to go and see some of the different fish that are down there under the ice, and the sea spiders, sea stars. It's really neat. There's no big fish. They're all really tiny, and it's very few different species. It's a few species, not too many. But yeah, nothing worth fishing for. And if you did, man, I could not imagine the fines of fishing down there.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you think that anything weird is going on with the treaty? I mean,
I
no.
I do think it's all pretty legit, and it's a big continent. I didn't know much about it, but I feel everything that I saw, it seemed legit. The research, talking with the scientist, know, I never got any feelings that sketchy stuff was going on or that there was anything being hidden. It all seemed pretty straightforward. And, you get down there and see how unorganized a lot of that stuff is. And you're like, all right, yeah, they probably aren't good enough to be keeping secrets like that anyways.
Yeah. How close was the nearest base or nearest other country camp to where y'all were?
That's a good question. So New Zealand is right over the hill, I think 2.5, maybe 3 miles away. And that's the only one that's really close, though. After that, the next closest base is probably 60 miles or more away. Now, New Zealand and us, we would hang out all the time. Every Thursday night was American night over at the New Zealand base. And so we would all load up in shuttles and just take off over to the New Zealand base and basically hang out and party with those guys. I mean, they're freaking cool, man. The Kiwis are awesome people.
Okay, so commingling. Are there any women down there?
Oh yeah, there's actually I would say I'd probably say 40-60.
Oh wow.
40% women. Yeah. So it's quite a diverse set of people down there. And yeah, commingling, I mean, people strike up relationships all the time. People have their ice wives, as they call them.
Tinder on ice.
And
I guarantee you those people look like freaking 10s when you've been down there for like 3 months and hadn't seen another chick. Like a 4 in Charleston is like a 10 in a 12 in Antarctica.
You're going to piss off some Arctic chick, Andy. I'm telling you right now.
Well, there are no Antarctic chicks.
Well, there are.
They're all transplant. None of them are natives.
There was a saying down there, and it's like anything. When you work on a construction site, it's the same way. A work site 10 is a city 4, and so it's similar like in Antarctica. But there's a lot of diversity down there, and people are hooking up all the time. I mean, I saw one couple come down there. Oh, this made for such an awkward time on the station. But this one couple came down there. It was a girl and her boyfriend, and they had been together for like 7 years. And he came down because he wanted, to be with her down in Antarctica. And I mean, it wasn't a month into them being there, she was already living with another dude on station.
That's rough.
And he's stuck for the next 5 months, in Antarctica, seeing his girlfriend of 7 years now with another dude. And I mean, this guy, we had him on the suicide watch, man, because I mean, you would walk, I'd see him around the station, and dude looked like he was just ready to die. He looked like he was ready to give it all up. I mean, it was rough.
That's when murders happen.
Yeah, like I
mean,
somebody's going to figure out that jail,
and that shit's over.
Figure out that prison system in Antarctica. Oh
yeah, but he got better. I must say, he got better and made some good friends. And I hope he got laid in Antarctica by some other people. That's my hope.
So do you bring condoms, or is there a place to buy condoms if you do strike up?
Go to the 7-Eleven.
Hey, so they have condoms in all the bathrooms in Antarctica.
Yeah, Jeff, fuck you. Might not be a 7-Eleven, but they got them in the bathrooms. They know.
Well, you ain't going down the store to get it, or herpes cream. You're screwed.
Oh.
In the bars, there's condoms in the bathrooms, and then they sell condoms at the store there. So there's one store on station, like a little general store. And yeah, you can buy condoms there too.
So I'm kind of pitching this as y'all are basically living on a big aircraft carrier.
But it's cold.
Yeah, 5,000. How many people are there on the island? Or whatever the hell, not an island, the continent.
Okay, so on the continent, I wouldn't know, but on that station, it changes seasonally. So just that one station, McMurdo, when I was there in the middle of summer, at the high point of summer, there was about 700 people there.
So it's not as big as an aircraft carrier, not even close.
Yeah, I mean, and so I think this past season, they went up to about 1,000, and this season, they'll probably be around 1,000 again. Winter time when I was there, it was 141 people.
That would be miserable.
Try picking 60% of 141.
Do the math for me real quick, Andy.
It ain't many.
84.
It ain't good odds.
84 people.
It ain't good odds to find a 10.
Yeah, if there's any guys going down to Antarctica, the best, if you're looking to try and hook up with someone there, the best tip I can give them is learn how to dance. I don't know why, but all the fucking guys who knew how to dance in Antarctica were the ones who ended up with women. They could be ugly as it gets. It did not matter. Ugly as sin. If you could dance, you'd go home with a girl.
Jesus. I'm not cut out for that.
Can you imagine dating someone and trapped around them the whole time? There's no getting away.
What do you mean?
I mean, you're stuck with this person in a confined area.
Ask for extra hours.
But that's a lot. And probably most of the people do the same things for a living. I mean, you're working alongside the same people you're dating, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's constant, and there's no getting away from it. But, like some people, I noticed couples, like you'd see the guy would be at the bar, and then the girl would go to like the library and hang out, just because they had different interests, but you can get away from each other. But, yeah, it's pretty inclusive.
What did, you hung out the New Zealand chicks or the New Zealand people? Was that the only country other than ours that y'all hung out with?
So we had a few Italian people come through the station on their way to the Italian base. And I think their flights got messed up. And so the Air Force just flew them to McMurdo until they could get the rest of the way to their base. So they stayed there for a few weeks, and I got to chat with some of them. There was actually a crew of Guatemalans down there that I became real good friends with. We ended up on the same project, building a big communication antenna. And that was cool. I mean, these Guatemalans, they were fun people, and it was a whole family. There was 12, 14 of them, and they were all kin. And so they would just travel the world working on these big antennas, and they got contracted to come down to Antarctica. And so I was doing all the welding on the antenna while they were assembling it. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a few, the Italians, New Zealand, Guatemalans, and that was probably, yeah.
On my bingo card, I would not have had Guatemalans in Antarctica. Mm-hmm. That would have been the last. Might as well throw in some Costa Ricans and Puerto Ricans too, because I would not have expected any of that.
Hey, they were cool people, and I still talk to some of them to this day, and they keep inviting me to come down to Guatemala and hang out with them, and I haven't done it yet. But the grandpa was down there, and he was like 72, right, down there in Antarctica working on this antenna. But, yeah, you wouldn't think so, just this oddball people down there, but they were absolutely awesome.
What food did you crave while you were there?
What food did I crave in Antarctica? Oh, that's a good question. I would say, man, I'm going to tell you, I don't think I craved anything, dude. We ate so good in Antarctica. Fresh vegetables, maybe, because that's something you run out of in the wintertime. When there's not flights bringing fresh veggies in, you're eating like just meat every day. And I never thought I'd want a salad until I went to Antarctica.
What food do they give you down there?
Oh, so, I mean, they have a good spread, I feel like. Now, some people on station complained. I thought it was awesome. But you can get pizza around the clock. A freshly cooked pizza. They have pizza chefs there. You can call from your dorm room down to the galley and be like, hey, man, I want to order a large pepperoni pizza with barbecue sauce on it, or whatever your fancy is. And I mean, in like 20 minutes, you just walk down there to the galley and pick it up. I mean, and every day, 3 times a day, they serve meals. Breakfast time, you can go order anything you want, and they'll cook it for you, or you can grab the stuff that's already out, like a buffet style. Same for lunch and supper. I mean, it's just, and it doesn't matter, whatever you want, they've got it. I mean, every Tuesday was Taco Tuesday. They had a little deli that you could cook subs in if you fancied subs. They had a salad bar. And then, me, I usually tried to stay in the main place where all the like hamburgers and hot dogs were.
So they have actual people that are working that are just as a pizza chef, and they fly them to Antarctica for 6 to 9 months.
Oh, absolutely, man. Almost any, they flew hairdressers. There's a hair salon down there, and there's someone that works full time around the clock just cutting people's hair. There's all kinds of jobs down there.
See, for the people out there that are listening to this, you're young and you haven't been anywhere in your life, go take one of these jobs. Go see the world and do something different. There's a lot. You can get out of Des Moines, Iowa, and go to a lot of places. There's a lot of places in the world to see. I've always told young people that the same getting on a cruise ship. Take a job for a month or two. You don't have to make a career out of it, but go see some different. See the world. That would be cool to go to Antarctica. If you're a fucking pizza chef in New York City, you want to go to Antarctica and cook pizzas for 9 months. Go see something different. I'm assuming they pay pretty good to get them down there.
The pay, it's not terrible. The big thing that helps is your food and board are all paid for. So you're just banking your checks. Unless you have bills back home you have to pay, which when I go, I try and, I cut my phone off last time. I cut the internet off, everything. I didn't need it. So, I can get down to where I was saving, 95% of every check,
Now, if you also were gone more than 6 months, you don't have to pay taxes, do you?
So, well, yeah, you got to pay taxes. It does fall, and I don't know the details of how that works, but you do pay federal, and if what state you live in, if they require state taxes, you have to pay those too. Because it's not like you're in a different country because no one owns Antarctica.
Oh, so it's different going to Saudi Arabia and working in the oil field for 6 to 9 months where you don't pay taxes. Okay.
You don't get out of the federal taxes because you're not technically in another country. You're in no country.
Because that's the good deal about going to Saudi Arabia. If you go over the work, you don't pay taxes. Change it up for just a minute. I saw a deal yesterday. Fucking Saudis and the Middle Easterns, they're fixing to get in the NBA, and they're fixing to fuck the NBA up. They're going to offer big money to a lot of the NBA stars to come over and start a league over there. Which I don't watch the NBA, so I really don't give two shits.
Be like the LIV.
But golf. I saw a deal where they were going to offer James Harden $100 million a year to go play over there.
Wow.
Dude, sign my ass up.
Yeah, hey, you can go over there and probably teach you'll be a superstar.
He ain't going to win a title here. He ain't done it yet, so why not take the money for his last couple of years? But I just thought that was kind of interesting. We talked about I saw that, and I thought, boy, that's going to fuck up sports. Just don't fuck with the NFL.
That's right.
Everything else. Do y'all watch a lot of sports over there? I guess in the wintertime football is pretty popular there.
It just depends because everybody from different parts of the country have different interests. Now, I'm a Southerner, born and bred, so I love college football, man. And I get into the NFL some, but I'm college football to the core. And yeah, dude, so the time difference, I love keeping up with the games live. And so I would have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's when Saturday,
game day.
Usually on Saturday. Yeah, game day. And it starts at noon here in the States usually. But in Antarctica, it would be 4 o'clock in the morning would be noon here in the States. And so me and my buddies who also were Southerners and loved college football, we'd wake up at 4 a.m. and we'd just start drinking at like 4:30 in the morning, and watching college football on TV.
Fuck, you get to watch it all damn day long because the West Coast games don't end until midnight here, 1 o'clock in the morning. So it's halfway through Sunday for y'all already.
Right.
It'd be a great life.
It was the perfect Sunday for us because we're also a day ahead in Antarctica. So it would be Sunday morning, 4 a.m. would be when Saturday midday games start for college football. So it was perfect, man. And then I think the galley would have food ready by 6 a.m. So we just have one of the guys run down there and bring like a tray just stacked to the brim. Just food falling over the edges. Back up to the dorm room, and we just sitting there and just chow down, drink, and watch football.
It's like a college place basically, except you got all your room and board paid for.
Imagine running out of alcohol.
I bet they don't do that shit down there. That's a good way to get killed. Run out of alcohol.
Yeah, no, you got alcohol down there. I mean, people get serious about that. Now they do rations though. That's
they
the
do.
difference is you are rationing how much alcohol you can have. And people would, like let's say I think it was one whiskey bottle, what is it, like 520 milliliters or something, is what you're allowed per week. You
God almighty.
One um or maybe it was every other week, or you could buy like an 18 pack of beer per week. And people would offer you just stupid money for your rations. It's like, dude, go buy me an 18 pack of beer. I'll give you $150 right now. It's like, damn.
Well, I would have cashed in because I'm not a big drinker. I'd have been selling my whiskey.
Yeah,
and
but
my
you've
beer.
never been in fucking Antarctica for 6 or 9 months.
Having to make ugly women pretty. Is that what you're saying, Andy?
That and just having to stretch up one bottle of whiskey 2 weeks.
I'll bet there were some good-looking women working down there.
I'm sure there were too, but not in abundance. Not like Charleston.
Yeah, it's not like walking through the mall back home or anything, but it's not like walking on a college campus. You go to a college campus and it's a lot different.
Yes.
So what is your college team? Are you a South Carolina guy? You Georgia, go Dogs? What are you? Or Alabama?
I'm a Clemson fan,
Y'all,
born and bred.
the NIL deal is fucked Clemson up, I think, and Alabama.
I think it's going to mess a lot of people up. And this is going to be an interesting season coming up that we've got here. And I mean, I'm glad it starts in like 2 weeks because I'm ready for it. But yeah, you're right. It's changing.
It has. And those are two programs that were on top of their game when this shit came out, and they were opening their doors up to every 5-star recruit they had a shot at. Now they don't have that shot because they can get $12 million to go to SC. Matter of fact, I saw where the number 1 ranked quarterback in the nation is a Georgia high school kid, and he's going to USC, which I don't blame him. Lincoln Riley's a hell of a coach for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, Kingsbury, more importantly.
Oh, fuck.
Jeff, you fucking bite your tongue. Johnny Manziel, Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray.
So one guy that's actually done
Just
something
settle
in the
down
pros.
over there, Jeff.
One guy.
Settle down. You can't tell me Johnny Manziel.
Kyler Murray.
You can't tell
How
me.
the fuck are you putting Kyler Murray on that list?
He coached him
Where?
at Arizona.
He fucking didn't do shit at Arizona. They fired the coach.
He was good. Kyler Murray was good. You can't tell me that Manziel wasn't good at A&M.
He was damn good at
okay,
A&M, but he was
that was Kingsbury.
He's terrible though. Outside of that,
Did you watch that documentary? Off subject.
No.
It's on Netflix. It's called Johnny Football. It is really
Very good.
Really good. He was a fuck up and a half. Yeah.
Really? It's on.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Basically for his pro day, like he went out, got his receivers pissed drunk. Receivers were not able to wake up for pro day, so they're like, "Who the fuck's gonna catch the ball, Johnny?" And so his agent, his manager are like out there running routes. He's like, "It's like fucking my freshman year of high school, and I'm out running routes." And
if the NFL would have done a good background check on him, nobody would have drafted him in the first 4 or 5 rounds.
right.
I mean, he was not. He never watched film. He didn't do shit. He was an athlete, and he got by on being an athlete, but he was just a colossal fuck up.
But showed up to one game like hungover, and like not only like he had the game of maybe his life, and after that Kingsbury was just like,
I think it was Alabama.
it might have been like he might have been hungover for the Alabama game, but Kingsbury was just like, we just gotta let Johnny be Johnny now.
Yeah, got to let him do
Take
his
the
thing.
handcuffs off.
He was a great college quarterback, though. I will give you that. But you have to be able to read a defense and shit in the NFL, and he doesn't. Well, he's not in the NFL.
Watched zero film during his time in the NFL. The Cleveland Browns called his agent and was like, "We got a big problem here." What is it? He's like, Johnny's iPad has 0.0 hours logged on it. He is not watching film. And his agent's like, he's got to watch a little bit of film. I'm like, no, it says 0.0. He doesn't even turn it on. And then Johnny's like, yeah, I didn't watch any film in the NFL.
He must have a better memory than I do.
I don't think he got by memory. I think he just was roll out and throw or run, and that don't work good in the NFL.
No.
But it did in the SEC because, honestly, if Johnny Manziel, if A&M would have stayed in the Big 12 for another year, they would have won a national championship that year because I think they had the best team in college football that year. They beat Bama and Bama.
Yeah, they did do that.
Great deal.
So who's y'all?
Texas.
Texas Tech. I tell you what, though. like we went to one of my good friends that works out here. He had a wedding in Nebraska, and it was so cool going to Nebraska because everybody in Nebraska is a Nebraska fan. Whereas like Texas, you got A&M, you got Texas, you got Texas Tech, Oklahoma split. But like when you went to Nebraska, everybody rooted for the Huskers.
Go Big Red.
And I don't know, I'm assuming it's probably that way in Alabama. Alabama doesn't have anything else. Georgia doesn't have another.
They got Georgia Tech, but no, and they don't have nothing that counts.
Georgia does have a pro team though.
Yes.
But like everybody was a Skurs fan. So that was really cool to see.
So
yeah, there's probably not many states that's like that.
No.
I mean, even Iowa's got two schools. Minnesota has one school, but they got a pro team. Colorado, Arizona school. I mean, you're going to have a hard time finding. Arkansas is another one. Arkansas and Nebraska are pretty unique for that.
Well, Alabama.
Yeah, well, okay, and Alabama too. But I mean, it's going to be a place that doesn't have a pro team that's got one dominant college. Well, Alabama's also got Auburn though, and that's pretty split deal.
Yeah, Alabama pretty split between Auburn.
Yeah, they got a lot of big Auburn fans. So Arkansas and Nebraska are two of the only ones, It just don't happen very often. Ohio State is the school in Ohio, but they also have Cleveland Browns and they got Cincinnati, but everybody's an Ohio State fan. Matter of fact, that's probably the only other state about like Nebraska, even in Arkansas.
Just where everybody's all in.
Everybody loves fucking Buckeyes up there.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who likes anything but the Buckeyes in Ohio.
And I honestly, I hunt a lot of people from Ohio, and they are really good people, but they're not a bigger pain in the ass football fan than Ohio State fans. And they have a lot. They have a lot to cheer for because they have a hell of a program, and historically has been a long, long time. But god dang, they're a pain in the ass to have to deal with. But they are freaking good every year.
That's how I feel about Georgia sometimes.
Just bitchy.
I tell people there's only two teams I like. That's Clemson and whoever's playing Georgia. Because their fan base has made me
they're
that way.
Bitchy about everything. It's just if they don't get every call in the game, they're just fucking whining at the television. And you're just like, settle the fuck down. All right, like you're coming.
When have you seen anybody from Georgia act that way?
Ohio State fans.
That was the Ohio State fans. I thought you were talking about Georgia fans.
Well, no, that's what he said. But I'm relating with Ohio State fans. They're
He
just
said
fucking,
Georgia fans.
I know, but I'm saying Ohio State fans. They're just bitchy.
Oh, they are.
You don't get every fucking call right, and they're throwing their shit at the TV.
Who bitched more, the Ohio State-Georgia game? The Ohio State fans or Georgia? I felt sorry for the kicker for Ohio State.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know who would bitch more there, but I'm right next to the Georgia line, so I hear more of the Georgia bitching than I do Ohio State.
The worst thing that happened to TCU was having to play that championship game. They'd been better off be the Michigan game and the end of it.
Play Michigan tight, lose it, and then be it.
Yeah, because they knew they got their ass beat on that deal.
That was kind of embarrassing.
Oh, it's terrible. Terrible. And that guy done a great job with a bunch of 3-star recruits to get to where they did that year was an amazing feat for TCU. It really was, but what a shitty way to end it.
Isn't that Isn't that a little Christian school?
Yep, I think they got 7,000, 8,000 students. They got some big banks there, though. It's a very wealthy college.
Deep pockets.
Deep pockets. And I'm going to tell you what, they've put a lot of players in the NFL. I'll bet you in the last 5 years, they've put more people in the pros in Texas than any of the other colleges in Texas. They've got a lot of kids playing in the NFL, a lot.
So let me ask you this: were you rooting for TCU?
Yeah, I would like to. I wanted to see TCU win. Yeah.
That would have been pretty historic if they came out there and whooped Georgia.
I think Lee Corso or somebody picked him to win too, and he's old and lost his damn mind anyways. But I'm always for an underdog unless it's the Longhorns. I always want to see an underdog. I mean, especially in those big games like that. And in college football, that's what makes college football so great is the underdog's got a chance to win, and they always find a way to fuck up and lose in the fourth quarter. So when it happens and Appalachian State meets Michigan or something, it's really pretty cool. Andy's fact checking me on how many players in the NFL.
No, I just want to know how many.
They've put a lot of guys in the NFL in the last 5 to 10 years.
What does TCU stand for?
Texas Christian University.
Okay.
You bring a lot of money to pay for your enrollment. Is what it should be called.
A lot of money.
It and SMU are both real high.
Texas A&M 37, Texas at 29, TCU 25.
In the last 5 years?
No, that was at the beginning of last year.
That's how many kids were in the NFL?
Full list of Texas College with active NFL
Okay.
players as of the beginning of the 2022 season. A&M, Texas, and TCU 37, 29, and 25. Baylor's at 23.
Well, Texas has got about 6 kickers. I think every other team's got a Texas kicker kicking right now.
Houston Baptist did get one in there. So
Well, good for Houston Baptist. His mom is just as proud as the other guys.
That's right. That's right. So what's next? What's your next adventure? Where are we going next?
So I'm actually flying back to Antarctica in about 4 weeks. So I'll be there for the next 4 or 5 months, and then after that, I have no clue yet, man. I try to keep an open book so I can just come up with ideas as they hit me. So between now and March, I'm booked up, but after that, probably fly fishing again. Like, I like to fly fish a lot in the wintertime. That's my favorite time of the year to fly fish. Summertime, it's not that great. It's hard on the fish, hard on me. I don't like mosquitoes. But yeah, I mean, living here at the ocean, it's not too bad because I get to go out and redfish a lot, and they really like this hot weather, whereas trout don't handle it so well.
Did you grew up around that area where you're fishing right now?
So I grew up about 2 hours north of here. So I'd come down and fish the coast every now and then. But I did a lot of salt or freshwater bass fishing.
Was the redfish fishing as popular back when you were a kid as it is now in the Carolinas?
I don't think so. I don't think anything was as popular as it is now.
I believe
because
that,
just
yes.
there's so with internet, everybody is just getting involved in everything now. I mean, you know, 20 years ago, I remember even the lake I grew up on bass fishing. I mean, you could go out there and you had your old guys who fished their weekly competitions on the weekends and stuff, the tournaments, but now it's like everybody's got a bass boat and everybody's out there fishing. I mean, even for the redfish, 10 years ago, the places I fish today, and when I fish them today, there's 30, 40 people out there fishing. 10 years ago, it would just been me.
Right.
The Texas coast, South Padre Island, is not the fishing mecca that Rockport is, which is better in Texas, or near what Venice, Louisiana is. But when I was a younger man, we would go to Padre Island, and there was 5 to 10 fishing guides there. Now there's 200 or 300 at South Padre. I mean, it's just crazy. But you also can't go anywhere in the United States along the ocean, and it's not house after house after house. It's hard to find a place in the United States that you can find 10 or 20 miles of continuous beach without a house.
Oh, absolutely. The coastline is just flooded, and it's terrible, man. I'm not a fan of living at the coast, and it's something I want to move back towards the mountains. I love the mountains, man. I thru hiked the Appalachian Trail in 2019, and I want to get back out there on that, you know, instead of the coast. There's just too many.
Is it Follies Beach that's right outside of Charleston?
Oh, dude, I'm right here. Where I redfish at is right around the corner from Follies.
Okay, we went there a couple of years ago, and it was a beautiful beach. It was very clean, but it was like everything else. There was a house every half a mile or every quarter of a mile as far as you could see. It was house after house after house.
Yeah, I mean, not even in a quarter mile. I mean, those houses on Folly, it's like a subdivision out there. It's just cookie cutter houses all stacked beside each other, all up and down. I think that's a 7 or 8 mile long beach, and there isn't a place on it where there's not a house.
What's funny is people will be like, "Oh, we're going to the beach this week," and then you get to their house, and their house is a 3/4 of a mile from the beach, and they live in a subdivision. Fuck, that's not living on the damn beach. That's just living in a neighborhood. You might as well live in Charleston.
Yep. You know, I can't afford to live that close to the water. Hell, I'm about 40 minutes from Folly Beach, depending on traffic. Still in Charleston, though. I mean, that's just what's crazy is the traffic is that bad. And I mean, hell, I'm paying $1,500 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment.
Damn.
You know, It's pretty steep out here, and you get closer. You get 30 minutes closer to the beach, and you're 2000s where a one-bedroom starts.
Jesus. Southern Charm fucked y'all's town up. Everybody's going to Charleston now.
There's too many
Won
people.
One to get that Ravenel money.
Yeah, that's true, man.
I guess I have no idea what
That's
Southern
very
Charms
true.
is.
Southern Charm is one of those smut shows that my wife watches from Bravo, and it follows a bunch of a lot of people from the bourgeoisie class in Charleston.
Is this Jersey Shore of Charleston?
No, well, it follows some well-to-do people from Charleston. So Thomas Ravenel is one of them. His grandparents and his ancestors basically built Charleston, from what I understand, and couple of his.
Are there any pogues on this show?
No.
It's all the wealthy.
Yep, all wealthy. From what I can tell.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of money in this area, but it's just a little too busy for me. I'd like to move away, like I say, back up to Virginia. I lived in Damascus, Virginia last year, and for most of that year, and that was great. I mean, it's slow. There's not a lot of work either. That's the problem too, but it doesn't cost as much to live there.
Well, look, I mean,
but
you're happy in Antarctica for 6 to 9 months with nobody there, so with 800 people, so I'm sure you're ready to get out of the fucking hustle and bustle of Charleston.
Is the Purple Moose still open?
Purple Moose, tatted
Purple
moose,
Tatted Moose, maybe.
The tattooed
that tattooed moose is still open.
Yeah, so the tattooed moose, I just ate there like 2 weeks ago, man, and they've got this blue cheeseburger that is unreal. Like, yeah, y'all need just come to Charleston and try.
My
that
wife
burger.
had that when we ate there. That's exactly what she had, was the blue cheeseburger.
We had the duck fries also. Duck fries were really good.
Oh, dude, the duck fries. So there's 2 tattooed moose here. One is on James Island. That's the most popular one, probably the one you went to. Kind of like a little small bar is what it felt like. Yeah. Yeah, kind of a hole in the wall spot, but
very
it's
good
awesome.
food.
Mm-hmm.
Shit all over the walls and stuff like that.
Yeah, everybody writes all over the walls, and I mean, it's it's a nice place, and yeah, that blue cheeseburger, that was unreal. I couldn't believe how good that was.
The way to go. All right, buddy. Well, listen, we're gonna let you go. Be safe. You got another month stateside, so you get to watch the beginning of college football. Well, you're gonna watch it over there too, but you get to watch it in your own domain. So this has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed hearing about your travels in Antarctica and everything that you got going on. So be safe heading back over there, and maybe Clemson will do something good this year.
All right. We all take care. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, John. You have a great day, my friend.
Bye.
All right.
Very interesting young man.
Yeah, that's I mean, it is really cool that he goes over there, and it's a little bit like living on a cruise ship. People can go see the world. Did you see the teacher in Oklahoma that was drunk first day of school?
No.
It's not good. Poor lady.
What do you mean poor lady? Stupid.
Dumb bitch.
Well, I wasn't going to call her a dumb bitch.
What would you call her?
Hell, I don't know. So, like, she went to school, like, drunk?
Yeah, well, I think she was drinking there.
Drinking at school?
I think.
She a young lady or an old lady?
Older lady.
She'd had enough.
Hmm?
First day of school?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, first it's all over TikTok.
Feel sorry for her.
Well, it's kind of hard to feel sorry
Were you
for
on
that.
school board? Would you hire her?
No, that's probably not gonna go well.
So did her students film her or something?
No, I guess I don't know how it all happened. I'll play a couple of the clips. Yeah, she's screwed. Probably blacklisted if I was betting.
The teachers are hard to come by, Andy. I wouldn't say that.
She was a bitch to the cop, kind of, well, not a bitch, but she, you could tell she was. Why is this not playing now?
Somebody's blocked it.
Oh. Maybe that.
If I was a teacher, I'd probably stay drunk too.
Why is it not going? It's the flat earth is what happened. It got blocked it. Let's see. Come on, play.
I know I've been having a hard time. fired? Honestly, yes.
Honestly, yes.
Or you can resign.
Whoa, what just happened?
Don't resign,
Under
lady.
the influence at school with kids. That cannot happen.
I don't know what happened. I lost everything.
Can it not just be that it's in my blood system and that's why it's...
Unless you were
Because she blew up.
like a
I can't.
shit ton
Nothing's
at
going.
like 8 o'clock this morning, I don't know how you could still be that high.
She blew a .24 or something like that. I can't. Everything just went dark. I can't see what I'm doing here. I don't know why.
Maybe it's because that TV's on over there too.
Could not connect to tool room. Why won't it let me connect?
Well, Lord, please don't let anything happen to Andy because there's no way we'd even know how to do any of this.
I wonder if it'll let me connect to the. Oh, there it goes. Oh, fuck. What'd I do? Oh, it did it. Okay. Let me try this again.
So that's tool room. Some other day on my computer it come up tool room. I was like, what the fuck we got a damn TV in a tool room for?
Why is it not? Well, fuck. This was about to be funnier. Now this has just fucked everything up. What the fuck? Do that, TV. Is that gonna work? There it goes. Switch to the other TV.
Okay. She's an elementary school teacher too.
Third grade teacher. Oh shit now.
Can we hear it?
Well, fuck. I don't know what just happened. Everything like froze for a minute and
I just... am I going to get fired? Just...
Honestly, yes. Or you can resign.
Don't resign.
You're under the influence at school with kids. That cannot happen.
Can it not just be that it's in my blood system and that's why it's...
Unless you were drank a shit ton
Well,
at like 8 o'clock this morning, I don't know how you could still be that high.
I did drink a lot last night.
How much did you drink?
I don't... Too much.
What do you drink?
Wine.
So how many bottles of wine did you drink?
We had the box.
Did you
The
drink
box.
A box of wine?
Couple of them.
Half a box. I know I've been having a hard...
there's
Poor lady.
I mean, she's ruined her entire life. I think it's this one.
No.
Stand up. You are under arrest. I'm gonna place handcuffs.
This is out of order.
Why'd they arrest
That
her?
number right now to call, or I'm done. Okay?
Okay.
So give me a number. Who am I calling?
I don't have it by heart.
Where's your phone at?
It's in the classroom. Can I go get
You
it?
can't. No.
Huh?
You can't. No.
I will let me see if I can. Yeah. Other than that.
My juice?
Gonna try again. That there is wine.
I thought that was from yesterday.
Did you drink it up here yesterday?
Well, I brought it from home.
And then
Being truthful goes a long ways, and you haven't done it yet.
she cleaned out the cup, I guess, when he wasn't looking. So now
I'd
she's
to arrest you just
tampering with
because I
evidence.
What are they arresting her for though?
To make everything right.
I just wanted honest.
For drinking at
That's all I
school.
wanted.
Can't do
I
that.
drank out of that yesterday. I didn't drink out of it today.
I don't believe you.
I drank out of that coming to work yesterday.
She's drinking.
Where's the cup that you drank out of today? Is it in your classroom too?
That stumped her.
I don't think so. I have somebody right here in town that will
Nope.
come get me.
Too late.
Please.
They've been telling her, like, you can call somebody. We'll get you to call somebody. I'm either taking you out in handcuffs, or you can call your husband to come get you. I don't care either way.
Lessons at.
And she wouldn't do
I
it.
don't know. Oh,
Well, here's the deal. You're under arrest. So,
no.
hey, we're not gonna sit here and whine. That's over. I'm not gonna find anything illegal in here.
I don't think so. No, officer. I'm sorry. Officer Dean, please don't do this. Please.
Where's your wallet at? No, I'm in Miss Bowles' office. Can you let?
What about? I don't want to.
You want?
I'm not gonna.
I'm gonna cuff you up front. If you're gonna keep running your mouth, you're gonna get cuffed behind you.
Wait, can I just talk to you for a second? Please. Please don't.
Put your hands behind your back.
No, I don't want to.
You want to go to jail with
No.
multiple charges?
No.
Put your hands behind your back.
Please don't do this. Please, I just want to talk to you. Can you just talk to me?
Put your hands behind your back. I've tried talking to you.
Well, you're not talking to me now.
Talking's over.
What about my stuff?
I'll go with you to jail.
Where's my box of wine?
Quit. I'm done. I tried to be nice. I'm done.
No, just please.
No.
Can I just ask you a question?
No, questions are over.
Why?
Is this your phone?
You have
Why?
the right to remain
What made you
silent.
so mad at me?
Why are you so mad at me?
What made you so mad? I don't want to. Please don't do this to me.
Try not to.
Can we just go there for just a second, please? I'm sorry.
Stop pulling away from me.
I don't mean to pull away. I'm really gonna.
I'm not saying you are.
Please, can't we just,
No, talking's over.
please?
You've done nothing but lie and not listen.
No. Can't you just give me another?
No. Another chance is over.
Please, please.
Do the
please.
perp walk, bitch.
Are you
No. Please don't have me go out the
We
front.
go right this way and then go around back to the cafeteria. I do need her keys to the building, if we know where those are.
There's some keys in here. I'll come back and get that cut. I gotta run there too soon. Yeah, there's some keys. You wanna go to the, where are you at? You got right up there. Cafeteria.
God, you know her coworkers.
What a first day of school. But they called her in. They were like, okay, so you've been acting, we've observed you. You're acting very, very weird. Are you on, like, did you take anything, prescription wise? And she's like, no, I didn't. And then the truth starts to come out.
So
about
they didn't
her.
know she was drunk. They just thought she'd maybe had an allergic reaction.
They
to
were
some-
pretty sure that she was drunk, but they wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. Like, did you happen to take anything? And then
God,
she said that she took some prescription pills, and they're like, well, what were they? And she's like, well, I can't really remember. And she was like, well, did you take them last night? And they're like, when was the last time you had anything to drink? She was like, last night. And then it spiraled. But they kept giving, the principal told her, you can call your husband. Call him, because you're intoxicated. She blew a .2.
Oof.
So they're like, cops like, you're not driving home.
So they offered her an out.
Said, call your husband, call a friend. I don't care. Said, you can either call somebody to come pick you up and they can come get you. You can come back tomorrow. We can have a meeting, 9 a.m, and we'll sort this out. Or you can go with the cops. And she just never could get her shit together. Ever.
It's sad because now, if she's never had any priors and stuff, she'll probably get, she who knows?
Kimberly, come on in here and have a seat a second. I want to visit with you.
She was happy at first.
So, just observing you in classroom, it looks like something's off a little bit. And so I've asked Officer Dean to come in here and visit with it. Have you taken anything that's, do you have a prescription for anything that maybe you have taken today that just seems like you're not the same person that I talked to this morning?
I did take some medication last night to help me with sleep because I have some anxiety stuff, but that's I can't think of the name of it right now, but I could look it up when I get home.
Okay. So you haven't taken anything while you were at school?
No.
Okay. Now, one thing I would tell you is, for your employment, I want you to be truthful.
Okay.
And so, would you be willing to take a breathalyzer test?
If I needed to, yeah.
She's drunk. I can tell by the way she moved her
You
face.
don't have to, but if you're willing to do it, that helps us.
I just happen to have a breathalyzer test, lady.
Medication today?
I'm sorry, what?
Have you taken any medication today?
I did take some medication this morning for my anxiety.
What did you take this morning?
I think it's called,
Percocet.
Doggone, I can't remember my prescription.
clozapine. I'm not very good with
Did you
medicine.
take it here at school
I took it, I took it this morning.
while you were here?
Yeah, right before I came in, yes.
Okay.
She's trying to cover her ass.
You changed your story a little bit. Now
Yeah,
you
you
said
said it
you
was
took,
last night.
yeah.
Well, I took one last night and then I took one this morning because my anxiety was really like that
Well, that's understandable, but I just need you. So what time did you take it?
this morning.
Whenever you took it last, what time was that?
I'm not really for sure.
Where's it at? In your car? In your classroom?
No, I had one. I took it I put it in my pocket and then I took it.
You put it in your
She's
pocket?
so drunk.
Yeah. Because I didn't want to bring the whole bottle in.
You do know that if it's a narcotic, you have to have it in a bottle, right? Or you can be charged with it.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's got to be in the prescription bottle.
Yeah.
Least of my worries.
So, just, I want you to understand that I care very much about you, okay? And
With some depression stuff, and
did you drink something while you were here at school?
not while I was at school
When did you drink something?
last night.
She says she stayed up until 3 a.m. drinking.
Not here at school? Because it seemed that it changed, I mean, your demeanor
pulled the
had
lead on us.
changed. Anything or?
If you drank something recently, it's going to show it. We'll just run it.
Asking Mrs. Bowles.
Well, I,
Right.
and it's not gonna be my decision.
Up a balloon, okay? And you're going to keep blowing until I tell you to stop. Till I tell you to stay. Till I tell you to stop, okay?
All right.
All right, give it just a second.
Her kids are so embarrassed.
I don't know how to do this.
You're just going to blow into it.
You're going to find out, lady.
As soon as I tell you to.
But anyway. So that's Oklahoma's first
Poor-
day at school.
Poor lady.
Perkins,
Wow.
wherever Perkins is in Oklahoma, that's where she formerly worked at.
Lady, if you're listening to this, we will have a teacher shortage in Texas, or we do have one, so you can probably get a job here somewhere.
Should she have blown?
No.
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 Make, like, what are they? I mean,
I don't even know that. I don't know what I don't understand what law she broke.
drinking at school. She has alcohol on the school property.
Okay. That's okay. That would.
Because
Other-
that cup.
but
had-
other than that-
cup had wine in it.
But other than that, she didn't break a law. Going to school drunk is just stupid.
I bet there's some
And you
child
could-
endangerment laws that they're going to get her with.
I can't think of any. Now, if she drank at school, that's a non-alcoholic
No alcohol.
safe zone or gun zone, free zone. I'm assuming is our school campuses. You can't drink at a
Yeah.
football game, but
Yeah, well, that's why you can't on the 4th of July thing at the football field. You
Right.
can't have alcohol
because it's
up
a
there.
school deal. So that's state law then on that. If she was drinking at school, they can get her for that. But other than that, just being going to school drunk is just stupid. I can see where they can fire her, but I don't know what public intoxication. Maybe that's not a felony.
She had multiple chances to get a ride, and
Yeah.
she never did. She,
She
couldn't
probably
remember the
w-
number. She couldn't even when like she got her phone. It was just excuse after excuse.
If
so the
she
guy
would
was
have,
like, "Fuck this, we're
if
done."
she would have taken a ride home, she would have kept her job. She might have been having to go to rehab for 6 months,
Right.
But she would have got to keep her job. I think
She did not want to call her husband. I'm not.
Oh, I
calling.
would have been mad, son of a bitch.
He was, like, but the cop was like, "Here's the deal: you're calling him either from this office
Yeah,
or from jail.
Yes.
So where's it gonna sound worse coming from? Either way, he's gonna find out."
Can you imagine, Cletus? You have a phone call from your wife. God damn it! Can't she do anything? You're what? You're drunk. You got fired. You're in jail. First day of school. How bad are these kids?
No shit, right?
But I just don't think that. I think that if she would have complied, same as most deals, if you comply with the officer, your life would not be as hard. She probably would get an option to go to rehab and say she had a drinking problem. Even if she didn't have one, that was the move I would have made. Yes, I have a drinking problem. I need some help. They just send her to rehab. She'd had her job back in 6 months.
Right.
Probably.
And they off. I mean, they said like, go home, get sober. We'll meet tomorrow, and we'll figure
They
this out.
probably would have sent her to a rehab.
But no,
Kind of like the old boy that talks himself into a ticket.
she did too.
Yep.
Poor
All right.
lady.
All right, y'all have a good week. Bye.
Don't show up to work drunk. Go check out our sponsors. Go check out Dirty Duck Coffee, Shin Gear, Dive Bomb Industries, Pacific Calls, Boss Shot Shells, Looking Glass Podcast, Lucky Duck, Ducks Unlimited, Double T British Kennels, Mossberg, Stanfield Outfitters, Alpha Outdoor Specialties, and Hemp Hill Farms.